Hi guys, so you just saw me plant a whole bunch of random plants all throughout the gardens in the backyard. I came out here early this morning and it was already steaming hot, upper 80s with about 75% humidity. So you can imagine the air was pretty thick, but I knew I wanted to get a little planting done. So I went over to our back section where we have been housing all of our container plants until they're ready to go in the ground. And I just kind of stared at them all and was like, okay, let's just randomly pick an assortment of plants, place them throughout the gardens and get them planted. So that's what I did, and that's what you just saw. So now let's just go around and I'll show you what I planted and where. So this is the section I was referring to. This has pretty much become like our landing pad for our gorilla carts and all of our container plants that are just waiting their turn to get in the ground. This is where I came this morning and just stood here and looked around and just randomly just started grabbing plants, placing them all throughout the gardens and getting them planted and in the ground. And they're gonna be so much happier. And these guys are probably a little jealous because they've been so patiently waiting their turn. But let's just take a little walk around and see what I planted. So right over here in front of this little globe arborvitae, I planted 2 Chardonnay pearls deutzias. I thought this little pop of color went so well with the arborvitaes, and I wanted a little something next to them to kind of just fill in this spot a little bit. I do have room if I wanted to for stuff behind here, but it is a little tricky planting because the crepe myrtle, so getting these in the ground was a bit difficult because of the roots. And we still have our junior giant arborvitaes over here, which will get anywhere from 3 to 5 feet wide. So it will fill in. I just got to remember that and be patient. Every time I see a spot, I just want to fill it. Anyway, so I had 2 left, so I thought it would be cute to plant them on each side of the arborvitae and just kind of flank it and just fill in this whole little space. And this is the tag because I don't remember the stats on this, even though we planted it already. But this is what they look like. They're in bloom. They bloom in early spring, these beautiful white flowers, but they stay pretty compact, 1.5 to 3 feet tall and wide. They're hardy in zones 5 through 8. They like full sun, but in my experience, I think a little bit of afternoon protection is probably good for these because they do tend to crisp up a little bit unless you give them a little bit more water. Now in this section, they'll get a little bit of morning sun, they'll get a little bit of mid-morning, early afternoon shade, and then they'll probably get a little bit of afternoon sun. So I'll kind of just keep an eye on them, but I think they look really pretty right there. And then right over here underneath the rising sun redbud, I wanted to put something in here, but I just didn't know what. I didn't want anything too big because I kind of just want this to stand alone. So I had 1 liriope, and I thought, you know what? Wouldn't it be cute to just, well, I didn't know if I was just going to put it right here or fill it in over here. But when I took it out of the root ball, or when I took it out of the container, the root ball was just so root bound. So I figured, you know what? Let me divide it. And dividing is so simple. As you saw earlier, all I did was just I took the plant and kind of went through, and you can see when you're in there, you can see how each clump in the container is kind of separate. So I just went in and found where the natural clumps in the container were. And then I just took like a saw or a hand saw and just cut from the top to the bottom each little section that I wanted to divide, gave it enough of a root ball so it could survive, and then planted them. And I think they look so good right here, right under the rising sun redbud. And these will bloom in early spring, these beautiful little dainty purple flowers. But these do like a part sun situation, so I think they're going to be really happy here. And then right over here, I planted another deutzia, and I forgot already what it is. No, this is the Yuki cherry blossom deutzia. This one gets about 1 to 2 feet tall and wide, but in the spring, this one blooms these white and pink flowers. Look at that. Isn't that so pretty? So I thought this would be a cute little pop of color, early spring, just right back here behind, or in front of the fence, because the fence is kind of like this dingy brown. It's not really exciting. So I thought, hey, why not a little pop of color? Let's go for it. And then as we swing around towards the butterfly garden, Right in front, you can see I put our 2 Acorus Ogon grasses. I thought this would be just such a cute little spot to have a little boop of yellow right there. And right behind it, I planted a baby Kim lilac. Now, it's looking pretty sad because I did have to cut it back early this spring, all the way down. So it has flushed out a couple of new branches, but it usually is much bigger and prettier than this. This is what it's actually supposed to look like when it's in bloom. Isn't that beautiful? And they bloom in early spring. So I think this year is going to be just its year to kind of root in and get settled. But I think next year it'll be a lot better. But they are hardy in zones 3 through 8, and they get 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. So I thought, you know what? Let's look at this head on. The lilac will fill in up here right in front of the Pugster Blue Buddleia. So we'll have the dark purple in summer, but in the spring we'll have the light purple from the blooms of the lilac. And then we have this chartreuse grass that stays 12 inches tall and wide. So this little section right here is just so sweet. And the chartreuse from the grass looks really good with the weeping blue spruce. Isn't that pretty? And then right over here, I had an extra cat's pajamas nepeta. So I figured, you know what? I've got a little hole right here, popped it in. And then right over here, in between the 2 tiny wine 9-barks, I planted another lilac. And this one I've had in a container for 2 years. Here's the tag for this one. It's Gartenmeister Flowering Purple Lilac. Now this is a dwarf variety. It only gets 3 to 4 feet tall and wide, but it blooms these beautiful like lilac purpley white flowers in the summer. And then it also reblooms again in the winter, but it does like full sun, well draining soil, and it's hardy in zones. Let me read my tag correctly. Down to -20. So what is that? Hardy in zone 3 or 4? But yeah, so this has already bloomed earlier this year. So I'm just waiting to see if we're gonna get blooms this year or if it's just gonna kind of settle into its new home. And then next year, it'll kind of just start over, break dormancy in spring, and get on its regular schedule. But looking back, I think it's perfect because with the 2 tiny wine 9-barks are red, and then this just kind of brightens it up. And I know one of you guys mentioned, you know, leave the red alone and add a little bit more yellow. Well, we do have the chartreuse yellow back here from the lemony lace elderberries, but they're not looking so great. So I was actually thinking yank them out, but they haven't even been in here for like a month or 2. So I'm just gonna wait and be patient and see what they do. But yeah, this will be really pretty. And then lastly, I was given a Shasta daisy. I don't know what variety it is, but I figured, you know what? It would look really cute here next to the weeping blue spruce and the Nephophias. Now this one gets anywhere from 18 to 30 inches tall and wide. So we'll kind of see what it does, but they do like full sun, but it is so tiny, but it's already got flowers like literally at the base of it. So I don't know, I kind of like it if it stayed like that. But it will get a little bit taller, hopefully, so it'll add a little bit of height right here. And it'll also mirror the Shasta daisy on this side. So they're kind of flanking the crabapple, which is looking beautiful. Well, let me take you in here, look. We've got crabapples. I can't wait to see them change color in the fall. Late fall, early winter, we'll find out. But yeah, I think the daisies on each side will just look so pretty. And here's our Flavorette paired rose. We just put this in the ground a few days ago and it looks so good. Love it. And the last thing we planted is over here in the vegetable garden. I had a few zinnias left over from the ones we started from seed earlier this year. I had 4 left, so I thought, why not just plant them right next to the first raised bed? They can just grow and fill in right here. And because we used the same zinnias all along this little patch right here, it'll kind of just mirror it and bring it all together. A little mirroring, if you will. But I thought, hey, why not? I don't really have any other place for them. They'll attract all the pollinators, and I think it's the state fair mix, and they get about 3 feet tall. So they should get right up to there. Wouldn't that be pretty? And I have no idea what colors are gonna come up. So that's gonna be a surprise, as well as all of the zinnias we planted over here with our beans and tomatoes. No idea what color. So this whole area, we're just waiting for it. So today turned out to be just a random planting project day. And I love those days because I myself don't even know what we're in for until I actually get out here and just start placing plants, looking at everything. And it took me a good hour and a half to place everything because I just kept switching things around, moving things around, alternating plants until I finally came up with a combination that I like, at least for now. So that's what I did. And then I just came out with the 7-inch auger, auged all of our holes. I didn't have Biotone starter fertilizer, so I used Hollytone. Totally fine. Put a little bit of that in each hole, got everything planted, watered in, and mulched. So yeah, I think we're all done for today with our random plantings. And I love it. Can't wait to see it all bloom, especially the zinnias, because this whole back area is just gonna be blooming its head off. And you guys, that is it for our video today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.